Hello and welcome back. I'm Barbara O'Neill, and today we're diving into pure air and temperance. Clean air is fundamental to our well-being, impacting everything from our respiratory health to our overall energy levels. In this lecture, we'll discuss the benefits of breathing fresh, clean air and how temperance, moderation and balance in our daily habits plays a crucial role in maintaining our health. I'll share practical tips for improving air quality in your environment and how embracing a balanced lifestyle can support your overall wellness. So keep watching to learn how these elements can enhance your health and vitality.
I want to have a look at what oxygen does. Let's make a list. Oxygen. What does it do? In the human body, it invigorates. This is the effect that it has. The effect of taking great amounts of oxygen in the body is that it invigorates, it vitalizes. I would even go so far as to say oxygen electrifies. To understand why it does that, we need to take our minds back to our lecture on Monday where we looked at the aerobic cell. An aerobic cell is a cell that uses glucose and oxygen to give energy, compared to the anaerobic cell, which doesn't use oxygen. The aerobic cell will deliver 18 times more energy than the anaerobic cell. That explains why, when body is well oxygenated, this is the effect. Oxygen also soothes the nerves. And everyone on planet Earth in 2012 go through times where they need nerve soothers, am I right? I remember when I had my first baby, and she is 35 now, an old lady said to me, if your baby won't stop crying and you're getting upset, lay the baby down, go outside and breathe very deeply. What was she telling me to do that for? Because she knew that oxygen would soothe the nerves. Better put an S there. We have many of them. How do you know when someone's getting a little bit irritated? You hear them go, yeah? Do you know, they don't know why they do it, but the body's actually saying, well, they're going to blow a fuse, take a blast of oxygen. On the other hand, what does lack of oxygen do? Hypoxia is a name, a medical term for lack of oxygen. The severe symptoms for lack of oxygen are blue top lip, blue fingertips, and the paramedic looks for that. I have a friend who's a surgeon. She says you can tell when you cut into a person if you're into venous blood or arterial blood. Arterial blood is the system taking the blood away from the lungs, goes into the heart, then into the lungs. Venous blood is the blood coming back. You see, oxygen gives blood the red colour. And when the oxygen is gone, the colour of the blood is blue. That's why some signs of severe oxygen deprivation is the blue fingertips and the blue top lip. But there are many people who are suffering from oxygen deprivation, but they're not quite to the blue lip stage. What are some of the symptoms? Fatigue. The person feels like they've climbed a mountain, they've only just got out of bed. Lethargy. They can't even get out of bed. Nausea. Stomach doesn't have enough oxygen. Headaches. Brain doesn't have enough oxygen. Not the only cause of nausea and not the only cause of headaches, but they are some of the symptoms of hypoxia.
Additionally, oxygen plays a crucial role in cognitive function and overall brain health. A well-oxygenated brain is better able to perform tasks that require concentration and memory. When the brain is deprived of oxygen, cognitive processes can slow down, leading to difficulties with focus, decision-making, and problem-solving. Oxygen is also essential for maintaining healthy skin and muscle function. Adequate oxygen helps repair and rejuvenate skin cells, which contributes to a youthful appearance and faster healing of wounds. In muscles, oxygen supports endurance and recovery by facilitating the removal of lactic acid that builds up during intense exercise. Furthermore, oxygen affects our mood and emotional well-being. Low oxygen levels can lead to feelings of irritability and anxiety. Ensuring proper oxygenation can help stabilize mood and reduce stress, contributing to overall mental health.
So let's have a look at the things that can inhibit oxygen uptake in the body. And let's have a look at the things that boost oxygen uptake in the body. To look at that, we need to study air. Some air is high in negative ions. It's the negative charged. Negative ions are electrically charged oxygen molecules. How are negative ions made? As water droplets pass through the air, they cast off negative ions. Understanding that, you can understand why you find them when the thunderstorm hits. Because you've certainly got a lot of water droplets passing through the air at that stage. The thunderstorm. You've also will find negative ions by the waterfall. You'll find negative ions by the sea. The waves of the sea are constantly creating, that shouldn't be there, constantly creating negative ions in the pine. So you'll also find high negative ions in the air at a pine forest. And the reason for that is all the needles on the pine tree, just a slight movement in the air and they move. And you know plants are constantly giving off a little bit of moisture, and that's why in the rainforest the clouds are born. We had an old friend, he was a German soldier, he's well into his 80s now. He would visit us and he'd look out into the hills and he said, look at the birth of the clouds. And you know how the mist comes out of the forest? So the moisture amongst the trees. But the pine give off the most negative ions because of that movement of the needles. So when we first came here, I looked out the window and I saw a lot of trees and I thought, we're going to cut a lot of those down so we can get some winter sun in. But where the sun sets in the summer is right behind the casuarina pines. And I said, good, we'll keep the casuarina pines to shade from the summer sun, but also so that the negative ions can be coming in these large windows on the western side of the house. On the other hand, you've got positive ions. Positive ions have more carbon dioxide in their molecule than oxygen. So they have the positive charge. The way to remember it is they're positively bad. They're not the good guys. Where do you find the positive ions? Before the thunderstorm hits. And what's the air like before the thunderstorm hits? Heavy. It's heavy with positive ions. And if a person has had a broken bone or has got arthritis, they'll say, oh, my arthritis is hurting, there must be a storm coming. I think we've heard that. That's because the positive ions have a depressing effect on the serotonin, which can have effect to increase inflammation. You ask the person what their joints are like once the thunderstorm hits, there's no pain then, because now the air is alive with negative ions. You also find positive ions in the city. What have we got in the city? We've got a lot of people. And the people are breathing out carbon dioxide, and some of the people are smoking. And cigarette smoke gives out another gas called carbon monoxide. And carbon monoxide is a very dangerous gas for humans because it competes with the red blood cell site for oxygen. What also you'll find in the city is a lot of cars. So it's the cars and the smoke that both give off the carbon monoxide. Let me show you what happens in the red blood cell. Here is the red blood cell. When it comes in contact with carbon monoxide, it forms a very tight union. And because it forms a very tight union, it prevents oxygen being picked up. When this red blood cell goes through the lungs and picks up oxygen, oxygen forms an unstable union. It's an unstable union so that it can be dropped again very quickly. It's like picking up some shopping bags and just dropping them again very quickly. But carbon monoxide, it grabs to the back like a backpack that's all wound around you. You can't let it go quickly. That's why if you go to a hospital, to a ward where they're amputating limbs, toes, feet, most of the people are smokers. Because when a person smokes cigarettes, they're taking in the carbon monoxide, which means some of their blood cells can't pick up the oxygen. And by the time the red blood cells get down to the toes, the oxygen they did have's all run out. And so that's when the toes start to die. You see, the most vital element needed for life is oxygen. Any part of the body that's not getting its oxygen will start to die. And last night we learnt about cayenne pepper. Cayenne pepper moves blood. If someone's toes are stopping to get the blood and the oxygen, what you do is you wrap them in cayenne pepper, bring the blood down. Of course, you've got to stop the smoking.
To further understand the impact of negative and positive ions on health, consider the environment you spend most of your time in. In urban settings with high levels of pollution, including car exhaust and industrial emissions, positive ions can dominate. This environment can contribute to symptoms like fatigue, headaches, and respiratory issues due to increased carbon monoxide and other pollutants. Conversely, spending time in areas rich in negative ions, such as natural landscapes and forests, can have a beneficial effect on well-being. Studies have shown that negative ions may help reduce stress, improve mood, and boost overall energy levels. They can also enhance mental clarity and focus, making environments with high negative ion concentrations preferable for both relaxation and productivity. Additionally, incorporating air purifiers that generate negative ions into your home or office can help improve indoor air quality. These devices can assist in reducing pollutants and allergens, creating a healthier atmosphere. This practice is especially useful in areas with limited natural access to negative ion-rich environments.
There's something else that can inhibit the oxygen content in the blood, and that is hydration. Something most people would never think about. One morning, I looked at the blood slide of a lady at 9 o'clock in the morning, and her blood looked like that. I always presume I've spoiled the slide. 5 blood slides later, the blood looked like that. I said, "Have you had any water to drink this morning?" She said, "No." You see, we would lose between 2 to 3 cups of water every night. That's why that lady had that terrible situation with that mouldy mattress. I said, "What have you had?" She said, "I've had a cup of tea." Now, many people think they're hydrating themselves with a cup of tea, but tea contains tannin, it contains some caffeine, both dehydrating agents. And if you put that pure white crystal in as well, called sugar, you got 3 dehydrating agents. So if a person wakes up in the morning and has a cup of tea, at the end of that cup of tea, they're more dehydrated than before the cup of tea. Whew. I said, "What else did you have?" She said, "I had a banana." Now, a banana would have fluid in it, but did you know that your body needs 2 cups of water to produce enough hydrochloric acid to digest the meal? So if you have 3 meals a day on Monday, on Sunday you have to have at least 6 cups of water just to supply the hydrochloric acid to break down the food for the next day. Whew. I said to her, "I cannot read your blood." It's all cut. And by the way, when this red blood cell goes through the lungs, how much oxygen does it pick up? When that goes through the lungs, how much oxygen does it pick up? Can you see the surface area that's been lost? So a person can be suffering from chronic fatigue syndrome because they're dehydrated. And dehydration doesn't just mean not drinking enough water. Dehydration can mean the person's having too much of the stimulants which cause dehydration. Also medication. Medication severely dehydrates. I know when I was a psych nurse, I could always tell if someone was a lot of medication. When they speak, their mouth is sort of sticky. And I know they're medicated because it's really dehydrating them. You can also inhibit the oxygen uptake in your body by the way that you'll breathe. I never have to ask a singer how they breathe. If you were to learn to sing, your first lesson your teacher would teach you how to breathe with your abdominal muscles, because your abdominal muscles are designed to aid in the breathing process. Have you ever seen a little baby breathe? The whole abdomen goes in and out with every breath. Well, many adults have lost the art on abdominal breathing. And one of the reasons is often the way they sit. Now, we spent a lot of time sitting on lounges before we bought this lounge because of the lumbar support, because it enables you to sit upright. Now, my husband is a very good illustration of the worst way to sit. I'm always saying, "Husband, sit up." It's impossible to use your abdominal muscles in the breathing process if you're at all slouched. That's why Pilates is so important. Pilates exercises strengthens the core, which pulls the spine into alignment which allows you to breathe with your abdominal muscles.
Staying properly hydrated is crucial for your overall health. When you drink enough water, it helps your blood carry oxygen more efficiently to your cells, ensuring they get what they need to function well. Good hydration also keeps your electrolytes in balance, which is important for nerve function and muscle movement. If you're not drinking enough water, you might experience tiredness, poor concentration, and reduced physical performance. Chronic dehydration can also make conditions like arthritis and digestive issues worse. It's better to sip water throughout the day rather than just drinking large amounts with meals. Eating foods with high water content like fruits and vegetables also helps. Cucumbers, oranges, and melons are great options. If you're active and sweating a lot, you need even more fluids to stay hydrated.
What does temperance mean? It's not a word we hear much anymore, is it? In the dictionary, the dictionary definition of temperance is not taking anything into the body that will harm it. So there are some things that should never enter. The second part of the explanation for temperance is taking in moderation the good things. So moderation. Some people say, moderation in all things. Would you say moderation in cyanide? Would you say moderation in arsenic? There are some things that should not enter the human body if you're looking for optimum performance. So we'll start with moderation. All good things, even good things, can become poisons if overdone. I have a book by Dr. William, I'll remember his name in a minute, Dr. William Beaumont, on the physiology of digestion. Because of his years and years of research on digestion, he came to the conclusion it's not quality of food that is of the most importance, it's quantity of food. He showed that even good food, even that food you had for breakfast, which was prepared in the best way, predominantly organic, even if that's overeaten, it can turn to poison in your stomach. He came to the conclusion there's only so many digestive juices released. And if too much food's put in, the body actually just can't deal with them. So all good things should be done in moderation. All work and no play makes Jack a very dull boy. We've come to a strange time on planet Earth where a lot of parents are not teaching their children to work. Have you noticed? Do you know when they love to work? When they're about this big. Encourage it. Oh, but the china will get broken. Use stainless steel. Get unbreakable glass. Because the children love to work when they're little. I had a rule in my home, child dirties plate, child know how to clean plate. Even if it's just a little one, to get them to carry it. Just something that they're contributing to. My daughter Julia, she was working in a restaurant a few years ago and she had two 18-year-old girls there. And she said, could you girls clean the toilets this morning? And they just stood there. She said, what's the matter? She said, we've never cleaned a toilet in our life. Have they ever used a toilet? I'm sure so. So I say to parents, encourage your children to work. Teach them to work. You know, there's a saying in the Bible that says, if a man shall not work, neither shall he eat. My children knew that saying. And when you teach your children to work, you've now got time to play with them. It should be a balance of all of these. My daughter in America, she said, oh, did my kids work hard this morning? I said, what did they do? I think the twins were 4. I think the next one was about 7. And I think the next one was about 10. I said, what did they do? She said, they weeded and mulched my whole garden. I said, what did you do this afternoon? She said, we went skating. Now, if Emma had done the whole garden, there would have been no skating in the afternoon. That's why I say to parents, when you deprive your children the joy of work, you deprive them the joy of accomplishment. Because isn't that what you experience when you work? And you talk to traders today, tradesmen. Do they apprentice young people? They say no. You say, why don't you? They don't come to work. They don't work. You say, can you get the hammer? I don't have to get the hammer. So a lot of tradesmen aren't even hiring young people. Whose fault is that? I have to say it's the parents' fault. So teach your children to work and then you'll have time to play with them. Balance. All good things should be done in moderation.
Dr. Beaumont's research underscores the importance of balance in our diet. He emphasised that even nutrient-dense foods can be detrimental if consumed in excessive amounts. The digestive system has a limited capacity, and overloading it can hinder its efficiency and overall health. This principle of moderation applies to all aspects of nutrition, from portion sizes to frequency of consumption. Incorporating a variety of foods in reasonable amounts helps ensure that the body receives essential nutrients without overwhelming the digestive system. By adhering to these guidelines, individuals can optimize their health and avoid potential negative effects associated with overconsumption. Thank you for watching and exploring the benefits of pure air and temperance with me today. I hope you found the information helpful and are inspired to make positive changes for a healthier lifestyle. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on our latest content. Feel free to share your thoughts or questions in the comments below. Take care, breathe easy, and see you in the next video.